about this app, Twitter/X.com. And the reason I wanted to make this video is because, Twitter always has some of the worst types of drama and all sorts of bad stuff on it. And you know what? I kind of wanted to say my take on Twitter/X for quite a while now. And what is it? I was browsing YouTube and I found out that I made a video on Twitch. Obviously, I remember that. But I never made it my experience on Twitter and why I left Twitter. I always just kind of kept it to myself never really made a full video discussing it and why some people used to, maybe they want to know, why I don't have it anymore / what changed. Welcome, Lucas, to the stream. Anyways, so let's get kind of down to business. So, sorry, my chair is bothering the crap out of me. So I can watch a stream. Oh, babe. Well, I don't want you being sick. I'd rather have you be better and be in school right now. But, you know what I mean. Anyways, so I had Twitter for a very long time. I remember I was on Twitter way back. I'm talking many years. I'm talking over 10 years ago. I was playing Super Puncher for the Super Nintendo. Man, I was able to advance Benjamin. Good shit. Good shit. Anyways. So, what is it? I remember I was on Twitter for many years. I remember Twitter was one of my go-to social medias. And it's probably one of the social medias, other than YouTube, that I have the most experience, using / with. Because I remember for many years, after I made my original Twitter account, I was on Twitter for years. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit in the slightest way or the best way possible. I'm going to explain, some of my eras of Twitter, and then, just some other things, what made me get off of it, and other things, and whatnot. And also semi-explain the history of Twitter, too. Not all the way through, but some of it. I got to level 77 on Guest 1337 on Forsaken. Hey, good shit. But, Loki, let's get started. So, I was on Twitter. I made my Twitter account way back in, I think, 2014, 2015. I think, a year or so after my YouTube page, my original YouTube page, the Gamer Pac-Man Panasar and all those other pages ago. I remember I made my Twitter all the way back then because, keep in mind, right, every big YouTuber on the platform had multiple social medias, and I remember Twitter was one of the biggest ones, and I was like, okay, you know what? If I'm going to be a YouTuber, if I'm going to dedicate my time to being a YouTuber, I need to have all social medias. I need to have every single one of them, and Twitter is going to be the start. So I put in my email, or my email at the time. I put in an interesting password. I don't even remember my Twitter password and all that other sort of stuff. And I logged in. I've made my profile. I made my banner. I've made everything. And I started getting some followers. I started following people on Twitter. So the basic stuff, right? Basically following some of my favorite creators at the time. And I would say for the most part on Twitter when I was on it, it was cool. It was okay, right? It was all about, a mix of news, a mix of, what gaming companies were talking about / showing us on Twitter. It was a mix of, some of my favorite content creators, my favorite Bleach content creators, my favorite Nintendo content creators. It was basically a platform for anybody to have, mutual talking spaces and talk about whatever the fuck is going on around the world, worldwide. That's basically what Twitter was when I first started Twitter, when I was first on Twitter all the way back in 2014, 2015-ish, around that time, right? Just around that time, it was, actually pretty alright. And obviously, yes, even in 2015, 2016, there was drama when I first got on. But keep in mind, when I was on Twitter for the first couple of years, I never was a part of drama. I stayed away from all the Twitter drama, even back in those times and whatnot, and so on and so forth. So I wasn't really a part of a lot of different types of things, But to skip around for a bit, Twitter for the first couple of years was pretty much like what I just explained. It was cool, it was civil, it was nice. There were times where it did get a little hectic, because I remember I was in a lot of different communities, man, on Twitter. I remember I was in a lot of drawing communities. I was in a lot of, no, anime stuff, a lot of Nintendo stuff, Sega shit. Like my Twitter was filled with stuff I just loved in general for the most part for a good chunk of those years, right? But then it kind of happened where I remember one day on Twitter, I was on my main account, and I can't remember if they were trying to add like a new feature or something, but I remember like trying to put my birth date in. And this was probably one of the biggest mistakes that led to me. Oh, by the way, thank you for the 50 jewels. I very much appreciate that. Thank you so much for the 50 jewels. Thank you so much. Um, I remember, what is it? When I made my Twitter account, obviously, I didn't put in my proper birthday. And what is it? I tried to go back into my birthday settings to kind of change it and to see if I could, change it to what it actually is. So, what my birthday actually is, right? And because I tried to change my birthday, Twitter just completely locked me out of my main account, right? And I didn't know what to do. I tried to contact Twitter about it. I tried to get it unlocked, but no matter everything that I did, I just completely lost my uh I just completely lost my account. I completely did. I lost everything. If Michael Jackson and Bruno Mars had a kid, I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult, but I guess. Uh, I was able to beat this Rosarian. Good. Continue. See if you can make it to the final circuit. The special circuit. See if you can go to the big boys, the big leagues. Well, you already are kind of semi in the big leagues with Mr. Sandman, but welcome to the next circuit, man. It's about to be a tough circuit. But anyway, so after my main Twitter got locked out, I think I made multiple videos on it. And keep in mind, I was still pretty young. I was like, at that time, I think I was like 16 at the time when my main Twitter went away, / to my birthday shit. I can't remember the exact date, but when it went away, I remember I had to create a brand new Twitter account. And I remember when I made it, when I came back on Twitter, because I wanted to stay on Twitter for a couple of years. I remember like my main Twitter had like over 500 plus followers, and after that account disappeared and vanished, a lot of those same people on Twitter like did like I guess just didn't care / didn't recognize me. But after I made my new Twitter, I tried to say, hey, I'm back on Twitter. My old Twitter got fucking banned. Pretty much that Twitter account, for the most part, was it was like me talking to a wall. It wasn't me talking to you guys. It was basically just me talking to a wall on Twitter. And, like, whatever I said would barely get any likes or barely would get any attention. It's not like that I wanted attention on Twitter. I just wanted, like, most of my viewers to follow me over there on Twitter. And to be honest with y'all, not a lot of you guys at the time, keep in mind, this was way in the past. This is before I met Lucas. This is before I met a lot of you guys that are here now. This is way before I met a lot of you guys here. So keep in mind, my viewers at that time, they weren't following me on Twitter. They only stuck to me, like, fucks with me on YouTube. And I thought I could get way more than just, like, maybe, like, 100 followers over there on Twitter. And I remember after a long period of time of, like, still using the app, still, like, talking to big YouTubers. Obviously, there was that period of time on Twitter where I got a lot of hate. Basically, like, for example, if you guys remember the days of Alex the Bleach Master, okay, basically there was people that would shit talk me on Twitter. Like, they would block my account on Twitter and then proceed to shit talk me on Twitter because they were saying, like, oh man, Alan's a bigger bleach dick sucker than James Hansen. It's crazy. Like, I remember some of those comments too. Like, there were actually people saying I was worse than James Hansen in being a Bleach fan. Because keep in mind, when I was a Bleach fan back in the day, I won't lie, like a massive Bleach fan, I won't lie, there were definitely a lot of times where I've gotten toxic over it. There were a lot of times where I've gotten quite toxic about Bleach. There was a lot of times, and I kind of regret that era, which is semi why I've completely toned down on Bleach. My love for Bleach, I'm not saying it's not there, and I'm not saying it's non-existent. It's still there, but it's nowhere near what it was like years upon years ago. Um, and I won't lie, when I got that hate on Twitter about me being a worser Bleach fan or like a more obsessive Bleach fan or whatever the fuck, and it really is all thanks to that Jump Force video I made way back in 2017, 2018. If you guys remember that Jump Force video, that got 12,000 views, and, you know, I get the same for liking My Hero Academia. That's why people take glazing way too far, or way too far. I remember that you flipped when Ichigo was in the Jump Force trailer. Exactly. That's the exact video I'm talking about, Lucas. When I made that video, that's when everybody started to recognize me as, whoa, this dude as a Bleach fan is a different breed. Like, I'm basically, like, I was basically, if you remember, I don't know if anyone remembers, but basically, I was like the new low for Bleach fans. I remember there were so many Bleach fans that saw the video and understood my took, but there was also way more people that, like, there was way more people that were saying, bro, you just made Bleach go down a new low type shit. And I remember after that video, yeah, people started to really hate me. Like, I'm talking, like, legit really hate me. Not just hate me for my thing, but people were, like, were legit saying I was a stain, on the series. I was a stain on the Bleach series. And I remember, I think after that video, and after I think I either deleted it or unlisted it, I tried to get in contact with all those people that hated me, right? And this is something that I did, right? I actually, like, after it was a couple years later, but thank God they were still using Twitter. But at that time, I remember, like, when I made that video, I didn't feel guilty about it when I made that video on YouTube, and that it translated to Twitter. But after I did that, you know, many years after, or maybe a couple years after, when my Bleach love completely died out, like, it is probably here now. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not here anymore or here. I'm not saying I can't get hyped for Ichigo or any of the other Bleach characters, but it's way down there now. It's just completely down there. Yeah, RJ, I was going to say, like, Spamton's absolutely one of my favorite characters in Dutchman. I do like Chris, Susie, Rouse too, and a lot of other characters. It's not just Spamton, but Spamton is just something else, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, as I was saying, it also kind of gave me a lesson, too, about, like, you should not go to this extent anymore. Like, you should just not. Like, but anyways. So, I tried to find all those people who made those comments about me, who, you know, made that stuff and said that stuff about me on Twitter. And I remember I talked to them and I said, hey, I'm the same guy who made those videos. I just want to let you know that I took down that video because I not only felt really, really bad about it, but I'm also sorry for, like, hurting your feelings all those years ago about those videos. And I remember there was people like, holy fuck, this dude, you mean to tell me this dude didn't see any of this? I mean, yeah, I didn't see any of it because y'all blocked me. So I couldn't see it on, like, my main account at the time. I had to get my shit deleted and then, you know, reinstated for y'all to, for me to actually come and reply to y'all. Right? So it was kind of a weird, interesting story that I actually went over to those same guys and kind of apologized for what I did. And I know it doesn't make up for that video because I know there's still a lot of people out there that whoever watched that video will remember me for that video always and forever. But I learned a valuable lesson from that experience. And after that experience, that Jump Force experience, and me apologizing to those guys and them accepting my apology and us just going our separate ways, knowing that we're better people, like, going our own ways. And I think he even apologized for the way he acted towards the video and, you know, and all that other sort of stuff. And we just went our separate ways after that, right? And then after that on Twitter, that moment on Twitter, I remember there was maybe like a couple more months and moments on Twitter. I can't wait for your next Undertale reaction stream. You should react to Undertale fights by Revolver Animations, which are absolute cinema. Maybe I will. Who knows, RJ? Maybe I will react to that. Maybe I will, bro. Maybe I will. But anyways, as I was saying about Twitter and stuff, I remember, like, there was like a couple more months because kind of glad you're changing. Hirohoshi, welcome to stream, talking about Twitter. My day's been good. Kind of glad you're changing for the better, because although I believe that some people can evolve and change over time, there are many people who won't change anytime soon. Yeah, there's people that are really stuck in their ways. And keep in mind, right, when I made that Jump Force video, I was a kid. When I made that Jump Force video, I was definitely a fucking kid when making that Jump Force video. And on top of that, since my brain's a little bit more behind than a lot of other people, I was even younger mentally back then than when I was, like, physically in that video. So at that point, I was probably, like, in my brain, I was probably, like, what? If I was 15, 16 there, I was probably, like, 14, maybe 13 back there in my headspace. So, yeah, I was young as shit when making that video. But anyways, who cares about that video? Let's move on, right? So, after that, there was a period of time where Twitter just went on as usual, where I was just on it. I was on it. I loved the app. I was still doing the usual shit, you know, until this happened. All right? If you guys remember when Elon Musk took over the app, right? If y'all remember when Twitter was transforming into X, and for the first time in my life, I have witnessed a social media platform I've always called Twitter, is now being changed to X. I remember when I was around for it, Louis was around for it. This shit was going worldwide when Elon Musk took over the company and changed Twitter for either. A lot of people say Twitter changed for the worse. A lot of people say Twitter changed for the better. In my opinion, it was still Twitter, but I can definitely say it got a lot worse after Elon Musk took over, because a lot more people on that app have completely changed it. I don't know if I would say it's Elon Musk directly. A lot of people like to say it's Elon Musk's fault directly after taking out all those people, now that it's suddenly changed. But I'm just saying, like, that change on Twitter, I was there for that. I witnessed that, and it was fucking crazy how Twitter, like, kind of became something else. It's a letter, not a name. Yeah, X. You know what I mean? It's the Twitter streets now. Yeah, pretty much, right? And what is it? When X became kind of Twitter, I remember, like, my brother still used it. I still used it for quite a while. I think it was like a year or so. I still kept it. Twitter have gotten worse, especially nowadays. It's like dictator. It's like dictator all over again. Or a dictature all over again. I don't know what you mean by that. You're going to have to explain that a little bit more, Lucas, on that one. But I remember being on Twitter when it was called X. I remember for a little bit it was cool. But this is where I'm going to start coming in. And I'm about to start, like, telling y'all that it's dictatorship. Oh, I got you. Yeah, I can agree with that. And this is where I'm going to start going into the weirder era of Twitter, right? Or the weirder way of X. This is the era, the Rule 34 era of Twitter. I remember this is probably one of my last eras I was on Twitter, because I remember I was on Twitter one day, right? And keep in mind, right, everybody on Twitter, and obviously Rule 34 stuff / hentai / Rule 34 artists are on Twitter, right? But they didn't have a big part on Twitter way back in the day, or even, like, I mean, now they definitely have a way more influence, right? Or at least in this period of time, right? But back then, they didn't have a big influence. But when I'm telling you, when this era hit, I can't remember the year, but I think it was like 2021-ish, 2022-ish. I remember hentai just blew up on Twitter. I remember, like, Twitter, like, it used to be, if you guys remember, Twitter is like dictatorship, and man, people go as far as to have Rule 34 of characters who don't even bother aging up, like either age up a character or don't do NSFW at all. Yeah, this is why I say, like, the Rule 34 shit got way out of hand this year, because I remember I was on Twitter one day just scrolling, and keep in mind, right, all I was doing was scrolling, because I want to see my Mario, one of my mom's friends got our address leaked on Twitter because she said lesbians sucked, and then some guy got our address leaked. No one came, but that was kind of scary. Holy shit, you got your address leaked because a friend fucked around and found out? That's why you shouldn't fuck around and find out on the internet, people. But anyway, so I was scrolling, and all I see is big booty, and I'm talking, bro. I'm talking. Some of these people were down bad, bro. I'm talking. And Warlock, welcome to stream, by the way. And RJ, welcome to stream. Welcome back, bro. I haven't seen you in a little bit. How y'all doing, by the way? How y'all doing? I haven't seen y'all in a little bit. How y'all doing? There are people out there who still do incest, Nisro, PDF, Zoo, many messed up shit. Yeah, basically, like I said, the Rule 34 era was crazy because all I remember seeing was big booty bitches here, big booty bitches there. And this is from people I don't even follow. Now, look, keep in mind, right? Twitter is all about the follow aspect. So if you follow that person, even just one NSFW artist, your feed will be blown up with it. Think of it like YouTube, right? Where YouTube was basically like YouTube for a long time, right? If you watched one video, your whole feed is going to be something similar about that video. That is basically what happened on Twitter that year. I remember I was getting filled with hentai I didn't even like. I remember I was getting filled with hentai that was... like, it was a mix of shit I fucks with, but also shit I didn't fucks with, right? And it would mostly be shit I didn't fucks with. And I'm seeing that shit, and I remember, I think after like a year or two of that straight, I remember, like, keep in mind, I'm going to mention some serious shit, maybe some private shit that's probably shouldn't even be here, but I remember I was kind of down, not down bad for any character specifically, but I remember I was doing the deed on Twitter. Quite a couple of times because there was so much shit. There was like, I remember in people's heads, there's no point in going to Rule 34 anymore. You might as well just get it all on Twitter. You know, because can you blame me with that mindset? Because there was tons of people with that mindset too. That's the crazy part. I remember this shit like it was yesterday. There was people saying, bro, I'm never leaving Twitter again. Twitter, new Rule 34. I swear to God. That's what it felt like that year, bro. I'm telling you, that's exactly what it felt like. And what is it? I remember I couldn't even escape it, bro. I remember I could refresh Twitter that year so many times, and like I still wouldn't escape it. And after like maybe 10 or 12 refreshes of maybe seeing some Mario shit or whatever the fuck I actually wanted to see. And then since I love Mario, Mario hentai blasted. You like Sonic? Sonic hentai blasted. Oh, you like Dragon Ball hentai? You like Dragon Ball? Dragon Ball hentai blasted. Like, even the shit I liked, like, was getting blasted in my face 24/7. And it wasn't even safe to even just kind of just scroll on Twitter without seeing that shit. And it was really, really bad. And that's why I was like, you know what? After, like, I think it was like a year or two of maybe beating my dick to some Twitter hentai, I was like, you know what? What's the point of even having Twitter, right? And this is where the point of me leaving Twitter kind of happened, right? Because I was like, not only I'm just seeing NSFW all day, and my tendencies, right, my issues were starting to get worse because on Twitter, since it was right in front of me every day, I was like, fuck it, I'll just maybe whip it out and jerk it once. Turned into way more than what I thought, and I was like, you know what? Not only I don't have like most of my community on Twitter with me, right, at the time. I remember saying that I'm basically most of my tweets, I'm talking to a brick wall, right, whenever I tweet. Again, not a lot of my community, talking to a brick wall, just a bunch of hentai, and also lots of controversies and drama even at that time that I didn't want to be a part of. I decided to completely delete my Twitter. I remember when I deleted my Twitter and got off Twitter for the first time, I remember when I got off Twitter and was not on it anymore, I was so happy I left when I did. Because let me tell you why. Because Twitter, I'm telling you, and I remember also there was a little bit of period of time where on Twitter, as well, like Ronnie was on Twitter, and I think he also got locked out of his Twitter too because he tried to change his birthday, the same shit I did, and after he got locked out, he both said that's when he said fuck Twitter, and then after trying to make a new one, I think after a period of time, and then after that he said fuck Twitter too, just like I did. I love Sonic Adventure 2, then proceeded to see 12 images of Shadow and Rouge. I mean, what, 12 images of Shadow and Rouge having fun in the bed. That's crazy. And since the topic was about NSFW, there are people uploading NSFW comic dubs on YouTube. Worst of all, YouTube algorithm clearly supports this scummy ass shit. It happens. Sex is a big part of life. No cap. But at the same time, it is a little ridiculous, especially when you're getting ads about on YouTube itself, getting ads about condoms and how to perform better in such and such. It's fucking disgusting, by the way. I'm just saying that shit. If I'm just saying, YouTube, gonna call you out right here. You mean to tell me I can't swear at the beginning of my video? You won't allow that, but you'll allow condom and sex ads and all that other sort of stuff play on a video of mine? And they're being blatant as fuck about it. They're not even trying to hide it. I'm just saying, like, you're going to allow that, but you're not going to allow me to swear in the first 5 seconds of my video? Whatever. You know, that's some weird shit right there. Both Shadow and Rouge have some things in common. They're both adults, so I can understand why they would do these arts, but still. Yeah, anyways, as I was going to say, right, continuing the Twitter era, I left Twitter. I think it was in 2020... I think it was 2020, actually. I think it was 2021, 2022 when I left Twitter. Or maybe earlier than that, like 2019-ish. I can't remember the exact year I left Twitter, but I left Twitter and it's been a couple years since. And I remember when I left Twitter and when Ronnie left Twitter and stuff, I remember we looked back like we never looked back. We said we're done with Twitter because all it is, and this was my reason when I left Twitter, this is just an NSFW-infested app with drama and a lot of people having shitty takes, have thousands of views, and echo chambers of the same opinion over and over again on Twitter. Rule 34 galore. And, you know, for me in general, myself, and maybe a couple friends, it wasn't fun on there being on Twitter anymore. Twitter was not, and by the way, thank you for the 55 joules, thank you. Twitter was not the same place as it once was for me when I first started / first got on the app. And it was slowly getting worse and worse. And after I left, never looked back. And ever since, every single fucking day, week that I see stuff on Twitter, worse, infinitely worse than whatever the fuck I was on Twitter when I was, like, when I left. And I would say in some ways it got worse, or a lot of ways it got worse, but there's a lot of ways it got better too. Like, for example, when I left Twitter, I had to get a drink. I think it was a year or two later when Twitter came out and said all NSFW artists need to get the fuck off the platform. Or it's either you get the fuck off the platform or we're going to label your content as for adults only and we're going to block most of your content. All that other sort of stuff, right? And I remember all Rule 34 artists then were like, what the fuck? No, most of my revenue is going to be gone because a lot of people come, you know me from my Twitter account and all that other sort of stuff. And after they fucking moved out to different fake-ass Twitters and stuff, I would argue even after the Rule 34 artist went away, that was all my jewels. Oh, damn, Gold Dead. Thank you for giving me jewels, man. I appreciate that shit. Thank you for the 95 jewels, my brother. Appreciate you. Thank you, bro. Thank you. I'm glad I only stayed on YouTube with YouTube Premium. Yeah, Jesus. Like, I'm telling you now, bro, it's crazy. But anyways, after all the Rule 34 artists went away, spread it out, not all of them use Twitter. Some of them are using Twitter, but there's a lot of them that aren't using Twitter anymore, so it's something else entirely with that shit. And they moved to, like, fake-ass Twitter, like Blue Sky and all those other social medias and shit, and started just branching out again. Because Twitch and Tumblr are the two big ones that weren't, yeah, they moved to Patreon, too. Patreon's another big one. Exactly. If NSFW was on another website like Patreon or something, then I wouldn't have much of an issue with it. And if it was actually targeted to adults and not children, then why not? Yeah, exactly. Right, which is what also a lot of them started doing. Like, they also had Patreons and other medias, too. It was just that Twitter was getting flooded with all their stuff from the past or current updates on their artwork and all that other sort of stuff, right? But, again, after that era and after all of them spread it out, I would say this. I would argue Twitter still didn't get better because you want to know what happened after that? I would argue Twitter has been like this for the last couple of years. People having toxic opinions is exactly what I said earlier. People having extremely toxic views people, and also people with those toxic views having a billion echo chambers. If you're on Twitter, you're going to be meeting a lot of people who disagree with you tenfold, expose you for stupid shit from 10 to 12 years ago, expose you for shit that doesn't even matter, but make it into a big deal and above and beyond, right? But there's also sometimes where it is a serious problem and it needs to be dealt with. There is a mix of that, like real victims and real problems. But I would argue Twitter's biggest problem is that there's a lot of people that are on there that have dictatorship, like Lucas and everybody said in the chat. You'd be surprised how much there is hidden on YouTube. It's crazy. And no, I didn't search it up. Yeah, YouTube also is really bad with this NSFW stuff if you go looking for it. I've seen it multiple times. And I did search for it a couple times. Not because I wanted to bait, but it was more because I was curious if they even have that shit on the app. And yep, they have tons of it on this app. They have tons of it on this app. Tons of it. It used to be way worse back in the day. I can tell you that story if y'all want me to. I still remember the Sonic. This is true old YouTube Twitter fashion. If you remember that Sonic hentai game that people made full playthroughs on YouTube back in 2014, 2015, you're a fucking real one. That shows me you've been on YouTube for a long ass time if you've seen that shit. Because I remember I've seen that shit in full. It was bad. YouTube had it really bad back then. If you guys think it's bad now on YouTube, go see how it was back then. If you can use my brain as a time machine to look for my YouTube history or look through the YouTube days, that was way worse than what we have now, brothers. I'm going to be so honest with you. Anyways, back to what I was saying, right? About the whole Twitter thing. Yeah, Twitter just became an echo chamber full of toxic people, idiots, people who don't understand anything, or, well, I don't know about toxic idiots. Well, yes and no. I don't like using the word idiots or retard all that much, because, oh, wow, this guy that is, quote-unquote, has special needs is saying retard and all that other sort of stuff. I don't really like saying those words. I mean, I do. If I'm really mad, maybe I'll say it, but I'm just going to be flat out honest with y'all, right? I'm going to be blunt. Twitter is full of a bunch of toxic people that live on Twitter, that live for drama, that live to ruin other people's lives. You can't have a good conversation over there on Twitter about some of the most casual shit, because Twitter, low-key, right? And I'm going to be honest, Twitter is just so toxic. It's so different than what it was from back then. Bro, my mic is on for some reason. My YouTube is listening. My mic is on for some reason. Oh, YouTube is listening to me? Good. Let me tell y'all, right, that Twitter is not a good place. And YouTube is not much better. Well, YouTube is a lot better than Twitter, but at the same time, YouTube, chill with some of them advertisements you got going on, my brother. But anyways, as I was saying, like I said, Twitter has gotten way worse. And I'm grateful to leave it, because I was just about to talk about this. And this is something that I talked about, the echo chamber, the Undertale community. I was going to bring this up because the whole Shay situation all over Twitter and shit has been blowing up, and just seeing how toxic, hypocritical the Undertale community is, or has been for a little bit now, or at least for a bit, has been insane. And not only just the Undertale community, but it's like this all the time on Twitter. And you can be on Twitter and see people say some of the most dumbest shit about, like, Donald Trump, or some of the dumbest shit about other people on the platform in its history on there. Twitter is now known for being more of a place full of retards than a place where you can have good conversations, and how Twitter used to be. I'm dead ass. If you ask anybody in this modern day what Twitter is like, they will either give you a couple of options. Twitter is full of brain-dead retards that have the same opinion about everything, and that's all they want to hear. Twitter is a Rule 34 infestated app, or Twitter is that Gooner app, like an alternative to Rule 34 or any site like it. Or Twitter is just all the above that I just said, all over again. You're never going to hear anybody come out and say, Twitter's a great place to be. It's a great social media to have. Because it isn't. It really isn't. Like, I'm gonna be so honest with you. I'm so grateful. By the way, thank you for 95 joules. Appreciate that. Again, I just gotta say that, you know? Again, and this is why I stand clear from Twitter. This is why I'm not on Twitter anymore. You know, because of what Twitter has become. You know, I knew Twitter wasn't gonna be Twitter anymore. Like, after all this shit. This is my buddy right here, bro. Hey, what up, bro? What up? But Loki, that's why I'm not on Twitter anymore. And I wanted to make my experience on Twitter to explain to you guys, my audience here, right? Why I don't use it. It's because I don't want to be involved in a lot of those toxic conversations. Shit. Literally every other day, I know what's up on Twitter because I watch like Asmongold, right? And all I see, right, is a bunch of people saying their opinions, like, and I mean, like, their takes on, like, Donald Trump and saying he's a shitty person because of this. Or I remember one person said, bro, Donald Trump is the shittiest person in the world if he's getting along with someone like that. And I remember Asmon said, bro, literally in real life, because keep in mind, right, Twitter is not real life. People have to deal with people every single day that don't necessarily agree with each other. That's real life. That's reality. Okay? That's reality. People see people they don't like every fucking day. Every waking moment of every day. There's people that see people they don't like or, you know, they don't agree with on everything. But on Twitter, if you don't agree with that person on everything, you're the piece of shit, apparently. You're the villain. Now you're gonna get doxxed. Now your Twitter, your address, your everything is leaked. You're fucked. Goodbye. And all that other sort of shit. You're in trouble. You're the villain. Matter of fact, if you have an opinion, and it depends on the opinion, right? Like, for example, like if you're trying to talk about the whole men deserve better. I remember a whole VTuber got canceled because she stated her opinion about men. Because she was a chick that kind of agreed more with how the men are going through something. She got her whole shit canceled. She got like multiple hate messages of go SD, self-delete, all the above. Because she said, yeah, what men are going through are BS. Ruined her whole career. You can't even have a different take or a different opinion without people bashing the shit out of you and saying the worst things about you. Like they've known you for 20 years and they have every right to hate you for those 20 years. Even though they're just Twitter folk that stay at the computer all day typing up bullshit. You can't even do that on Twitter. And also, they're also the same people as well that believe everything on the media to be true as well. Without doing any research. Like, for example, right, like, people will, like, and this is why I also hate Twitter, because there's a lot of real victims out there on the internet, right, that were victims to grooming, that were victims of all this other sort of stuff, right? Their stories never get heard. You want to know what stories that do get heard? People that fake stories like that, same type of shit. Like, for example, I remember what happened to me was wrong, right? I got accused of being a sex offender, not on Twitter. It was on YouTube and everything, but my story is pretty similar, right? When I was 15 and 16, I was accused of being a sex offender and I was an abusive motherfucking man. Even though I was none of those things, yet a million fucking people, right, that subscribed to my page at that time completely believed her without doing any research on me, without even thinking about who I was, without even doing, like, I don't know, a background check of who I was, without even trying to hear me out. I'm immediately the perpetrator. I'm immediately guilty. And that's literally Twitter in a nutshell, too, is someone can say something about you, and if they have a big-ass following on there, they will immediately believe that person, and then just dox you, hate you, say you're disgusting, tell all their friends you're disgusting, without doing any sort of research whatsoever for themselves to figure that shit out. Because they're a bunch of fucking followers that can't even have their own opinion on a topic and have to follow somebody else's opinion just because they're a fucking sheep. And I'm sorry for getting so pissed and frustrated at this. It's just that I see that on Twitter every single fucking day. I see that on Twitter every day. Sheeps following the fucking herd all the fucking time. That's all I see on Twitter. And it's disgusting. And that's why I'm not there. So is Facebook pretty good? I don't even use Facebook. There's a lot of reasons why I don't use Facebook. Facebook is also kind of, I wouldn't say as bad as Twitter. Definitely not as bad, at least in my experience. Right? I would say Facebook is better if you do Facebook over X any goddamn day. But anyways, sorry, there was like fucking hair in my mouth or something. But my point is, right, is stay away from X. Stay away from fucking Twitter. It is not how it used to be, and this is why I left. Because it is just filled with toxic people. It is filled with people's not only just toxic, but rude takes. There's no such thing as being nice on Twitter. And if there is a such thing as being nice on Twitter, it's very small and very fucking niche. I swear to God. It is, and I can't even describe how disgusting some of the people on Twitter are. I can't even begin to describe. Like, there's so many videos already as it is describing that shit. And I just wanted to give y'all, like, a basic rundown of Twitter and my experiences with it. Like, I had most of my experience on Twitter was good, but that was slowly ruined by I'm not gonna say Elon Musk, but slowly by the Rule 34, by how people were slowly becoming, and that's why I say, like, Twitter went completely downhill, and it is nowhere near what it was used to being. Anyways, I'm done with this video. I just wanted to give y'all a rundown of my experience on Twitter because I haven't made it. And I'm sorry if I made some of y'all feel a little bit uncomfortable with some of the bits I talked about in this video. I have to get it out there. That's my experience on Twitter, man. And, yeah. Keep yourselves protected on the internet, man. Get yourselves them VPNs. Stay away from fucking Twitter because you never know who you're going to piss off on that website by just saying a fucking opinion, bro. You know, but anyways, I'll probably do another stream on something. I don't know what it is. Let me know down below in the comments right now. Fuck it. What do you guys want to see? You know? Do you guys want to see, like, Type 1 if you want to see a Sonic the Hedgehog game? Type 2 if you want to see another Undertale fight? Type 2 for that. Type 3 if you want to see, like, I don't know, something else. Maybe a fucking Undertale fight reaction stream or something. I don't know. What do you guys want? I'll do it today. I'm down for it. You know? Fuck it. Just type now, bro. 3 for reaction, 1 for a freaking Sonic stream, or 2 for an Undertale Deltarune, like, fan fight stream. What do y'all want to see? From your boy Arekkusu TM. What do you want to see? 1, 3, revolver animations are fire. So we got one person that says 1. Right? We got one person that says 3. Like some Sonic the Hedgehog and, you know, fucking reaction. So who else is going to say something? Because that's 2 out of, like, 3. So I need one more person to kind of break this whole thing. And whatever we do, we'll just do that for today. So, go ahead. Well, you know, I won't keep this stream up long, so who knows? Maybe I'll just do both. You know? There's only 4 people and 2 of them probably won't chat. Yeah, so this is kind of weird, isn't it? This is weird. I don't think I've done this post very long before in my life. Yeah, this is weird. Okay. Alright. So, you know what? I think what I'll do... Warning, the video on Revolver animations are pretty long, but I guess you can just do one. I recommend Insanity Sands versus Delta Sands. Okay. But anyway, so, you know what? Maybe I will do a little bit of both. You know? Why don't we just do both? Fuck it. I'll do, like, a Sonic the Hedgehog joint, and then we can do a reaction stream. Why not? Anyways... Yeah, let's just go ahead. Let's do the, you guys want to see the reaction stream first? Okay. Alright, bet. Alright. Thank you guys so much for watching my live experience on Twitter. I'll see you guys in a little bit with that reaction stream.